ranking every current UFC champion. It is important to note I will be ranking these off of resume, dominance, and I'll also be ranking them off of longevity. Starting out, I think the current worst champion is Jack Della Maddalena, mainly based off the fact that he's untested and he hasn't really proven himself yet. And if you take a look at his resume, he hasn't really been anybody too good other than Belal Muhammad, which, yes, was a dominant unanimous decision. I just don't see him winning, especially since Islam plans on moving up to welterweight and taking the belt. I don't see him beating Islam, but I do see him beating guys like Ian Machado Gary or even Sean Brady. So I think he's the worst champion based on the fact that we haven't seen enough from him yet, and he's just not really tested, and he also has a tough fight coming up with Islam Makhachev potentially that I'm not really in favor of him winning. And coming in next place, I would say, is Ankalaev, mainly based on the fact that, again, just became champion, hasn't really fought anybody, and he's getting an automatic rematch with Alex Pereira, the guy who he took the belt from. And I could see that fight going either way. And he's also just a pretty boring personality. He has a pretty boring style in his fight with Alex. He won with a decision with a snooze fest fight, just holding him up against the cage the whole time. And there just wasn't anything too special about it. And we can take a look at his resume, and you'll see he hasn't really fought anybody too great other than Alex Pereira and Rakic. I wouldn't really consider Johnny Walker a great win because he's not really a top contender. So the reason I rank him this low is, again, it's kind of like JDM. He hasn't really fought anybody too good, like no top contenders. And he has a tough match coming up against Alex Pereira, which I can see that fight going either way. And he's also just became champ. Now coming in at next place, I got Dricus, mainly based on the fact, again, a very hard fight coming up that I don't see him winning at all. I think Chimaev gets it done by submission in one of the first few rounds. I think if it does go past round 3, then I think his chances go up. And he's always being counted out in all of his fights that he's had previously, like against Israel or against like Robert Whittaker. And he always somehow finds a way to win with either being submission or a knockout. He always just finds a way to get it done. Most people also like to count him out in most of his fights based off the fact that he does have a rather goofy style compared to other fighters. He kind of just blitzes with his head down, just starts swinging. He has weird takedowns, and he just has a goofy style, but it works. But other than that, he's a really good fighter. I mean, if you look at his resume, he beat Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland twice, which people say the first fight was a robbery. I can see why they would say that, but either way, they gave him the win, and he's a pretty good fighter. He's a great resume, and I think he's a pretty good champ. So yeah, the reason I have him in this spot is because he's not a fresh champ like the two, like JDM and Ankalaev. He has like 2 title defenses, and he has a decent resume, but I have him this low because he has a goofy style, hard fight coming up, and I don't really see him being Khamzat. As much as I hate to put him here, coming in the next spot is Alexander Volkanovski. Again, based off the facts that he's getting a little bit older. I think he's about 36 now, and he had 2 knockout losses before, winning against Diego Lopez, which was a really good fight. And they went to war that fight. And he also has some tough opponents coming up like Movsar, but I do think Volk can beat Movsar. I just think stylistically it's a bad matchup for Movsar. I think that Volk will win this match. I mean, we've seen what he's done to Islam, and Movsar is a good wrestler, but he's arguably lost to Aljo. A lot of people consider that fight a robbery. A lot of people also like to bring up Gene Silva. I think Volk wins that fight too. I think people a little bit overrate Gene Silva a little. The only way I really see Volk losing that fight is if he gets chinned. But other than that, I see Volk winning against Gene Silva. Volk's also a 2-time featherweight champ. And if you look at his resume, he's beaten people like Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez, Brian Ortega. He's beaten a lot of great guys. A lot of people consider him the featherweight GOAT. So the reasons I put Volk here is because he has a great resume. He's been champ before. He had 4 or 5 title defenses. And he just beat a rising contender who's young, Diego Lopez. I also rank him here in this middle spot because he did lose 2 fights in a row by knockout before winning his latest fight against Diego Lopez, and he is obviously getting older. He's 36 now. Now, coming in next place, I think, is Alessandro Pantoja. I mean, there's no one really left in his division for him other than Vaughn, but I don't think Joshua Vaughn can beat him. We have no interest in Pantoja. The only thing that's really left for him is to move up to bantamweight and fight Merab for a second belt, which I could see Pantoja winning that. Some people may disagree with me, but I think the only thing that's going to be a problem for Pantoja is obviously Merab's cardio. But I do think Pantoja can get it done because Pantoja is, I think, more rounded than Merab. Merab's kind of like, wrestles a lot. Pantoja can wrestle. He can strike. Like, Pantoja's good everywhere. I still also think that Pantoja is a little bit underrated. I mean, they had him at, like, number 10 on the pound-for-pound ranking when he had 4 title defenses, beating Kai Sakura coming from a Ryzen, beating Steve Erceg and Kai Kara France. And we can even look at his resume and see that he's cleared out the entire division. Like, there's literally no one left for him. But like Volk, again, Pantoja's getting older. He's 35 now. And, we don't know how much longer he can do this. But he does have a match coming up on, I think, 3/23, it was announced, or speculated, against Joshua Vaughn, which I think Pantoja will win. I think Pantoja wins easily, but we don't know because we haven't seen too much from Vaughn yet. So when that fight happens, I do think Pantoja will win. But why I rank Pantoja here is because he has a great resume. He's beaten everybody in the division. There's only one name left for him, and that's Joshua Vaughn, who I think Pantoja will beat. I also rank him here because I believe he has the most consecutive title defenses currently in the UFC. In the men's division, I think he has 4. Yeah, he has 4 title defenses. And the only, semi-bad thing I can say about him is that he's getting a little bit older. He's, 35. That's the only bad thing I can say about him. Other than that, he's great. Coming at next place is Merab Dvalishvili. Merab's a very dominant champ. Many people consider him actually to go a bantamweight. I mean, if you look at his resume, you would understand why people consider him to go to bantamweight. I personally think he's a GOAT. And I think he's probably going to retire with the belt. Merab is also known for his absolutely insane cardio. I mean, he went for, I think, 48 or 49 takedowns against Peter Yan, which was absolutely crazy. I think he has the best cardio in the game, probably the best in UFC history. And if you look at some of his fights, like against Peter Yan or Sean O'Malley, he outstruck both of them. And Sean O'Malley is one of the best strikers in bantamweight currently. Him and Corey Sandhagen, who Merab's fighting next. And him outstriking him says a lot. Now, one of the bad things I can say about Merab is that a lot of people don't like him. They think that he's boring, and his style kind of it's a boring style. He kind of just holds you on the ground. He only wrestles, and for more casual fans, they probably want to find that entertaining because they're trying to watch him get knocked out or something, and it's not how Merab fights. But in Merab's latest fight with Sean O'Malley, he did submit him, and he got a finish. But Merab's not really known as, a finisher. So I put Merab here because I do believe he is the bantamweight GOAT. His resume proves it. And he's still improving. At 34, he's still improving. Just got finished on Sean O'Malley. And he has insane cardio. But I also put him here because, he is pretty boring. His style is pretty boring. Now, coming at next spot is Tom Wopatete Aspinall. Now, I think Tom has what it takes to become the heavyweight GOAT. I think he can top Stipe. Looking at his resume, he has a pretty decent resume already. He defended an interim belt, and he just became champion. He made John retire, which is crazy. Tom is also probably one of the quickest heavyweights ever. If you watch him fight, he moves like a welterweight. With his speed and strength combined, he knocks most of his opponents out in the first round. I think he has the shortest average UFC fight time in history. I think it's just over 2 minutes. Because Tom has such a low fighting time, we're not really too sure if he has a good gas tank or not. We've never really seen him in deep waters yet, so in his championship fights, it goes a distance. That could be a problem if he doesn't have a good gas tank. So the reason I have Tom Aspinall ranked up here so high on the second ranked spot is because I think he's the quickest heavyweight ever. He has crazy power. He's really well-rounded. I don't really see him losing. I think he'll probably retire with the belt as well. And also because we're not too sure about his gas tank. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody guessed it. Number 1 is Ilia Topuria. Everything he's done so far, not even 30 years old, he became double champion. He knocked out Volk, he knocked out Max Holloway, and then Charles Oliveira, all back to back in a row. It's just crazy. Now, Topuria is good at everything. He has crazy power. He knocked out Max Holloway, who's never even been dropped before. He has great jiu-jitsu. He has a lot of submission wins in the UFC. And he has good wrestling, Greco wrestling, I think it's called. And he's just really well-rounded. I don't see him losing his belt either in lightweight. I think the only person that stands a chance against him is Arman Tsarukyan. So the reasons I have Topuria up here at best champion currently in the world is because he has crazy power, super well-rounded. He has crazy jiu-jitsu too. Insane resume. He beat Volk, Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira. And I don't see really anything wrong with his game. Double champ. I think he is the best right now in the world. Watching this back, I think something that is wrong with him is that he is undersized for his weight class, and if he wants to move up like he said he would.